Sorry to set up two different cameras here. All right, so it looks like I'm live. Let me get cozy here. All right, hi everyone. Welcome to I Transform You TT Topic Tuesday. I'm live on my YouTube channel and I'm live on Instagram right now. I think I might be changing that name. I don't know. I had some thoughts as I was driving today. But for now, I'm calling it Topic Tuesday. And again, I Transform You because that's my name. So again, welcome. Every week, I'm coming to you with a different topic. This week, I'm calling it I Believe. So what that is going to entail is actually just kind of talking about my faith. I've had some questions about that. I've had people ask me, what religion are you? What do you believe? All that kind of stuff. And I think that's because some people are noticing even more of a transformation in my soul. And I'm noticing it myself. So I kind of want to put this out there because, first of all, I feel like I wrestled with God on this one for sure, because I have my own belief. I've always believed. Anyway, I'll get into that story, but it could be a touchy subject for some people, and I want to be respectful, and I don't want to bring up things that some people may not like and stuff like that. But anyway, we all know that everything that I talk about is based off of my own experiences, what I've been through, what I believe, all of that. And again, I want to bring this to you today because I feel like this opens up the door for the any topic that I bring up, any testimony I bring up in my own life. Because again, of what I believe and where I've come from has shaped me into the person that I am today, and has brought me right now, actually talking about this. So again, I want to kind of open up that door, and I hope I do this in a respectful way, and we don't always agree with everybody, and we may not always agree with a person's belief or their faith and all that kind of stuff. But again, this is my own experience and what I've been through. So oh gosh, I've been called everything from Bible thumper. Oh, she's all churchy now. She is all holy and this and that. And so I guess, again, I just want to come and share my belief and my walk and where I am and how I've gotten here. So I want to try and make this quick. I know this, again, will open up dialogue for later conversations. And so I know I won't be able to express everything, but hopefully I can get the core, what do I call it, the meat and potatoes of everything. And that I took from Joyce Meyer, by the way. But anyway, so welcome to my living room. I decided I would sit here today and come to you instead of in my gym or at the kitchen table, which is a mess right now, and talk with you just a little bit on the topic of I believe. So there we go. I believe. I have always been a believer. I've always believed in God. Did I grow up in a home of that? Maybe, I guess. God wasn't talked about. I grew up with my dad, who was always believe, always have hope. Everything happens for a reason. But he wouldn't just say that stuff just to say it. Like, I know for me, and again, my own experiences, he was very much so of like, Mandy, everything happens for a reason. Remember that. Remember, we have our creator, things like that. It was never, he didn't preach to me. I never really heard anything about the Bible. And then I had my mom, on the other hand, who would, gosh, I won't say the names that were said because I just won't. I just don't do that anymore in my life. But it was more so cursing God, making fun of God, if I ever asked questions, it was like, oh gosh, Mandy, like, why do you even ask these things? I mean, I always like burdened her with questions that I had. So I had that. And then after my dad passed away, it became very, very negative. And at that point, it was just myself and her living at home after she passed away. And so I'd try and talk about my dad and heaven and things like that. And it just, she, understandably was in a very rough place. And just she obviously was very sad and grieving very hard, and bless her heart, she just was not happy. She was very angry, very, very angry. So her comments and stuff were very strong, and names that were not very kind that were used towards God. So did I come up in this church-based family? No, we didn't go to church. We didn't have a Bible around. We didn't have that around in my life. But again, I always believed. Like as a little girl, in fact, I think I just posted about this just the other day or something. I would just sit outside, or I'd be playing with my dolls, or in the pool, or at the park, and sitting on the swing and looking up in the sky and being like, well, who is God? Who is God? And I just always had questions like, wow, how was this created? Like, our world is so big. Like, again, as a child of just thinking those different things. And I would ask questions. My grandma is Catholic, and I am Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. My mom was a teacher at a Catholic school. So that was around, but yet when I would ask questions, it was like, don't ask those kind of questions. Like, this is just how it is. I'd ask things like, who's God? Who's Jesus? Why are there two different names, but we say, we do this kind of thing, that, like, I just was so confused. Nothing ever made sense to me. And I went to Sacred Heart for first and second grade, and we'd walk into church, and I made my first Holy Communion, things like that. I'm going to be honest. I hope I don't, again, offend anyone. This is, again, my experience, but it's like, what is this place? Like, I liked being in the church, and I'd be like, wow, it's so beautiful. Look at the candles. Like, wow, it felt good. But I never understood what was being talked about. I never understood what was being read in the Bible. If we did go to church, I would hear these strange words that were hard for me to understand. And I couldn't even pronounce the words, nothing just made sense to me. But again, I always believed in God. So I recently had the opportunity to share a testimony of mine, like a life testimony at our women's ministry. And now I've been part of the church now for the past 6 months, and I love it. And during that time of sharing my testimony and stuff, afterwards I was asked, I can't remember the specific wording of the question I was asked, but it was basically like, well, who in your life kind of helped direct you this way, and I was just like, it was kind of hard for me to answer, and it's kind of like an eye opener also, because I don't really know who that was, or at the time I didn't. Now I can be here before you and say, I absolutely know who that was. It was the Holy Spirit. It was God this whole time leading me, and I just didn't know that. And so, again, when I'm trying to gather my thoughts here, when I talk about this and how I was led, it's just how it was. And there were some dark times in my life. Most of you already all know, I always talk about this all the time, that I was a meth user for 10 years of my life. And even in those darkest times of my life, I still be like, oh dear God, oh please, 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 keep me safe. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Lord, that I'm doing this as I'm like in a bad situation, or, just in a bad time or in a bad area, or doing my drugs or whatever. And so when I think back to those times, I'm like, oh, I guess I was talking to him and didn't even realize it. But I would have to say probably the past 4 years is when I've really, just coming up on 4 years, is when I really, really started developing my relationship with God. And so that's when I realized like there has been a difference for me. And how that came about was I was introduced to a Joyce Meyer podcast by a friend of mine, an old client who became a former client, I should say, who became a very dear friend of mine. And I had expressed to her that, man, something was just missing in my life. I had recently lost my mom. I was going through things with my kids, things just in my life. And I was like, something's just missing. I thought it was through exercise. I thought it was through all that. And I was just, I can't explain it. Something's missing. And we were doing a workout one day together. And again, I expressed it again to her. It's like, something's just missing in my life. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to be setting a new goal. I don't know what it is. And a few days later, she sent me a podcast, and I had never listened to a podcast before. And she sent me this through a text message, and she's like, I don't know if you like this kind of stuff or if you even know who this is, but this is such a great topic. And I clicked on it, and I remember listening to it, and it was about transformation. And I listened to this woman, Joyce Meyer, talk, and I just was filled with all these emotions. And I remember talking about God and who he was and how he transforms us. And, we need to transform our soul and all this kind of stuff. And I was just amazed by what this woman was saying. And it instantly clicked. I was like, this is what's been missing in my life. Oh my gosh. And from that day forward, I think I've listened to her at least 5 times a week. So over and over and over and over again. I don't want to say every single day, because I have missed a couple days here and there. Like even the last 2 days, I haven't listened to her podcast or watched her on YouTube or anything. But so I would say at least 5 times a week, I listen to something from her. Even when I'm driving in my car, I have CDs of hers now constantly. And so that was about 4 years ago. And it was during that time that I just felt like, oh my gosh, this woman is answering all these questions I've been confused about for so long. And so that's how it all developed. And again, I'm coming to you and sharing all this with you because I'm a very strong-minded person. Even in my training and how I run things and stuff, everything is more so about the mind and what our mind can do, and then it becomes the physical part. And I encourage ladies daily. It's part of what I do. And so I feel that over these past few years, since I've been doing that and encouraging and motivating and inspiring and all that, and I've been put in this place to do things like that, a lot of that has been based off of my belief and being led and being guided. And some people call that by, they're being led by the higher power, so whatever your belief is or whatever, I use that as that's God. That was God using me and still continues to use me to help others daily. And again, these past 4 years, this relationship that I've developed has, I've been working on this. I've been working on this daily. It's something I remember Joyce Meyer saying, if you want to know seek him yourself. Like, yeah, listen to me or listen to whoever, you want to. Joel Osteen is someone she talks about a lot, and she's like, listen to that, do that. You go to church, you do this and that, but seek him yourself. Find out who he is yourself. And when she said things like that, I always feel like, wow, okay, this is interesting. Maybe that's what I need to do. Like, I never understood anything that people would say, or people would come up to me and say, oh, it says this, that we're supposed to do this in the Bible. I'm like, oh, it does? Really? Okay, well, why are we supposed to do that? And they just kind of look at me, well, because it says so. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't make sense to me. So, and again, I'm just being fully honest and just kind of putting that out there. But I decided, that this is what I want to do. I want to seek, and I want to figure out who he is. And so going back now to, my younger years and what I've been through and stuff, and realizing now he's been with me all along. He's led me all along. So again, these next weeks that I start to bring you a topic, it's always going to be based off of my belief, my faith. And I wouldn't have been able to be where I'm at today if I didn't have that. If I wasn't being led by him. I say that because, as most of you know, I did hair for a long time. Let's see, I got my cosmetology license in 2006. And it wasn't until 2007 that I decided that, oh, wow, I've been clean and sober now from using drugs for a year. Like, I want to lose weight. I wasn't at my heaviest, but I was pretty heavy. I think I was at that time 230 or so, 220, which I had been heavier than that before. And so I remember talking with my mom one day and just saying to her, I really want to lose weight and I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't want to go back to using drugs. And so then that's when I joined Weight Watchers. And from there, I took on eating healthier, walking, learning how to jog, getting into exercise, blah, blah, blah. And again, that's a whole different testimony. Some of you have heard, some of you haven't. And I'm sharing this part to lead up to, how I've been led into doing fitness and getting into health and stuff. And so here I was doing hair and then trying to continue to make myself healthy, not just on the inside, but on the outside too. I wanted a certain look with my physique. And so as I was doing this, I got into fitness more. I got into really liking it. I understood it. The coordination part of it just came to me. And there were times I'm like, where is this coming from? Oh, I really like this, but oh my gosh, Lord, what is happening to me? And then when I had that epiphany moment of the first class that I ever subbed was a spin class, I realized right then and there, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm meant to do. How do I do this? And I also, through that time of being led and guided, I still was questioning and asking, why, God, are you asking me to do this? Where is this coming from? And I didn't know how to express that to people. I didn't know how to talk about that. In fact, I was so embarrassed to even say God's name or even talk about him for the longest time. So coming back now to where I am today, developing this relationship, I hopefully am trying not to pour it on to others. I just try and share my own experiences and how I have been led and guided and who it's been from. And he's the one that has done this in my life. And I owe this all to him. And so, again, just sharing that faith that I have. And kind of am losing my train of thought. This is a scary one for me. This was, again, a difficult one for me to bring up because this is all new for me. I'm great at talking about other things in life, and this is a hard one. It can be a touchy subject for people. So I guess that's where I'm struggling with the right words to find and to say. But I have my Bible here, and now I feel like I should talk about this because how I have been led to, a lot of you read my posts and things like that, and of just my believing, going back to my topic today of I believe, I really, really strongly believe, and I have this deep, intimate relationship that I'm building with him. And as a child, I would go into a hotel room. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. A motel room, whatever. And you open up the drawer and there's a Bible in there. And there were times I would like flip through it and I try and look and I'm like, huh? What does this even say? I can't even pronounce these words. And so I've been scared to ever even pick up a Bible and read a Bible. And I will tell you this, it wasn't until 2016 that I purchased my very first Bible ever. Never had one around. I never saw my parents read one. Never talked about it. Again, we never talked about God. Nothing like that. So in 2016, I got myself a Christmas present, and a late Christmas present, and that was purchasing a Bible. And again, how I decided to do that was through listening to Joyce Meyer. And she would, and if you listen to her or her podcast or anything, you know she makes reference and reads from scriptures all the time. And she would read these scriptures. I'm like, whoa, wait. She used words that I understood, like where it says that in the Bible. And so it got me curious. It got me wanting to know. It got me thinking. And then she, would say like, oh, this is my Bible. You can order the Everyday Life Bible. So that's how it all came about. I decided to get on Amazon and order myself one. And I did. And it wasn't until 2017 when I decided to actually open it up. It was January of 2017 when I decided to open it. And how I started, I share this with you because this may not be how everyone is taught to start or where to start or anything. But what I did was I actually just flipped through the pages like that and I'd open it up, and wherever it landed, I would read. And I will say this, I won't go into detail with this. This is saved for a later date, but in 2017, my oldest brother was very sick. And then soon after we found out he was sick, we found out he had cancer and things like that. And so when all this came about, I remember just finding out this information and being like, oh, dear God, please help me. I give this all to you because I don't know what else I could take in my life. And I had already lost, still grieving the loss of my dad. Then I had lost my mom. And then now we're finding out this news with my brother. And I had other stuff going on in my life. I had my son who I was barely talking to, who wasn't living at home with me anymore. I had my daughter who wasn't living at home with me anymore, who, we talked, but it just was, there was tension. There was all this stuff going on. My life was just, hard at that time, right? We all go through stuff. And so I remember Joyce Meyer talking about surrendering. Like you surrender, give it all to him. Like you'll know when that happens. And I think that's when I hit that point of I was just like, God, I give this to you. I don't know what else I can handle. I don't know how to do this thing called life. And it was at that point that I turned to the back of Joyce's, the Bible that I have, Joyce Meyer's Bible, and it's broken down into sections. I'm going to flip through this real quick. But it's broken down into Here are all the verses on patience. Here are all the verses on peace. Here are all the verses on power. And so then I started going to certain sections in here on love, on forgiveness, things like that. And I'd look up different scriptures and I just started reading. And I loved it. And then in 2018, I set a goal for myself to really study the Bible. And I did. It took me a year to read through this, and actually a little less than a year to read through it. And I enjoyed it so much and realized, holy moly, like everything about life is right here. Everything that we need to know is like right here. So it got me wanting to seek more and find out more. And so that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at in life. And through that, I decided, okay, I finally want to go to church. I was led to a church here in town in Los Banos, and Cornerstone Church. And from there, I met a bunch of super, super awesome people that I'm now starting to develop relationships with, and have allowed them into my life, and they've allowed me into their life, which has been really awesome. So again, coming to you today to talk about I believe. I really strongly, truly believe there are things that have happened in my life that people have said, oh, you are so lucky you weren't caught, or oh, you are so lucky you got away with this, or you are so lucky that this didn't happen. And I really, truly don't believe in that word luck. It's all a blessing. It's all a blessing. And what I've learned and where I'm at in my faith is, no matter what, he loves us. No matter where we are, no matter what time it is in our life, he loves us the same. He is love, and he loves us. He loved me as much as he loves me now when I was using. He loved me when I was shoplifting at a store. He loved me when I was lying and stealing from people in my life. He loved me when I was screaming and yelling at my children. He loved me when I was putting myself down and calling myself ugly and fat and hated myself. He loved me when I was disobeying my mom and screaming and yelling and being disrespectful to her. And he loved me through all of that. And he still loves me today. And basically all of what I bring to you, the topics that I bring to you on Tuesday, there's no way I would have been able to get through all of those things if I didn't believe. And if I guess I'm trying to find the right words to say, but yeah, if I didn't believe, and all of those things he got me through, and it was him all along. It was never me. And so this is where I'm at. And again, I hope I didn't offend anyone. I hope that maybe this will maybe help someone seek themselves. Again, I didn't know much. I always had questions, and I was very confused for years and years and years of my life. And I always felt embarrassed to even talk about God or say his name. And I do have to say this, a lot of opening up about that actually started with me doing hair. So when I started doing hair, I realized I started opening up about my feelings, about stories, things that happened in my life. I was sharing those with my clients, people that would come in and get their hair cut. And I had so many people that God placed before me that shared their stories and would constantly tell me, believe in the Lord. Oh my gosh, believe in the Lord, and I am not gonna lie, in the beginning when I first started, I'm like, oh my gosh, this person's like preaching to me. Oh my gosh, okay. And yet I was very thankful for that person and that person saying those things to me. But that's where a lot of it started as well with me. And that was in 2006. And so that's when I actually, that's when I decided to stop using meth, was in 2006. And that's when you've heard me talk about my epiphany moment of, I was sitting on the edge of my bed getting ready to use, and I heard a voice in my head tell me enough is enough. And I heard that, and I did. And from that day, I stopped using. And I was just getting into doing hair more. And at that time, I had a permanent job working at Great Clips in Riverbank. And I was super busy all the time at work. And I met so many amazing people. And so there you go. That's how it happened. That's where I'm being led to where I am today, and sharing stories and opening up about my faith. So I've always been a believer. It's just been the last 4 years that I've decided to develop my relationship with him and build this more intimate relationship. So hopefully I'll still have people that will talk to me after this. Maybe hopefully this sparks some interest in like your thoughts and stuff. And if anyone has questions for me or wants to text me or message me or anything, you can do that as well. And I definitely, again, you guys all know me. I'm an open book, and I will open up and share anything with you guys, all my stories and whatever, and what I've been through. So have a great day, everyone. Sorry if I was all over the place with this. Again, this is new for me, and I'm also big on, we all need to start somewhere. We all need to step out and find out. That's a Joyce Meyer saying, but I truly believe in it. I've always been that type of person to step out and find out. And if I'm wrong with something, then I'm wrong. And if I get knocked down, then I just get myself right back up and I keep moving. So I thank you all if you were on here listening. And I will see you next week. Don't know what the topic will be, but I will definitely bringing you some kind of topic. And to recap on last week, it was about insecurities. And I want to just say one more thing. I know I keep saying I'm going to go, but one more thing real quick. Insecurities. It was all about insecurities and how insecure I was in my life. And then this week in church, we went over the book of Leviticus, and Pastor Jordan had brought up, I think it was 11, it was, Leviticus 11:44, I believe. And I am not good with memorizing scriptures at all or any of that. But, and it says where God, he says, I am holy. And when Pastor Jordan read the scripture and stuff, I just instantly was filled with emotions and thought of insecurities and how our insecurities should just all be lifted away, because he loves us no matter what. Again, all the things that I've been through, he loved me even during those times. And it's ourselves that place so much pressure on ourselves and so much to be this type of person that fits in what society wants us to be. And that's society, that's not God. When we stand before him, he's going to want to know like more about our heart. He's going to want to look at our heart. And anyway, it just was an eye opener on insecurities and made me think of that. And so yeah, this is it. This is me. This is Amanda Moon. And I absolutely believe, and we literally can do all things through Christ, who is our strength. And yeah, have a good day, everyone. Thank you. You'll see me get up and turn all this off. Bye.